happiness. Yeah, I think I remember what we talked about before. Okay, let's do this and think any tools we get from this so we can use them to develop our own happiness, so we can help others get happy. That's it. Good, done, finished. I just said the words, doesn't matter. Close it off. No need, take it off. That's it. So I think when we talked last time, and this is again the thing, the point, to understand what it means. This is really important. And I think when we get the Buddhist views, we really need to do the analysis carefully. Because when we think of happiness, we think of the external event. I mean, you think about it. We think of it as an environment, as people. We have these pictures in our head of shiny things, you know, that's happiness. Okay, it's more than that, we know. But when we really analyze it, this is the Buddhist view. But you have to understand karma, and you've got to understand the mind, how it works. It's very clear. So karma, this law of karma, is this law that runs the universe. I mean, it really is the best way to put it. It runs the universe. It runs the minds of sentient, it runs minds. It plays out in minds. But it manifests also as external events. And when we understand this Vajrayana model, it's very clear. When we understand the Vajrayana model, the universe consists of matter, the four elements, and minds. And that is it. Nothing else. Matter and minds. So, of course, since scientific model, you know, the millions of different elements and things, they don't talk necessarily like earth, air, fire, water anymore. It sounds so corny. That's still the system they use in the Vajrayana, you know, and the Tibetan doctors. They don't talk about, you know, there's millions of other Latin names and Greek names for all the different energies. It's earth, air, fire, water, and the mind. So when we understand, you know, sometimes you hear the teaching, something kind of clicks and it makes you join a whole lot of the dots, you know. It helps you get the big picture. So I remember Rinpoche said one time, very simple. He said, you know, okay, we've got the gross level. We discussed this the weekend or yesterday or something. Maybe yesterday, the death process. That's right, the death time. We've got the gross body, and inextricably linked to it, we've got the gross sensory consciousness. As long as you're a living person, a sentient being, a mind possessor, your sensory consciousnesses are there, functioning through the medium of your gross body. Then you've got the subtle level, which is your thoughts and feelings and emotions, and they've got very subtle levels. So the subtle physical level, inextricably linked to those states, is the subtle nervous system, 72,000 subtle channels pervading our body. And coursing through those channels are all these different wind energies. And the wind energy is the subtlest of the four elements, you know, earth, air, fire, water. So they're inextricably linked. So therefore, whatever you do with your gross consciousness impacts upon the subtle consciousness, you know, because they're connected, but also it connects to your physicality, because they're inextricably linked. So at the subtle level, all those wind energies, which is what your doctor can feel, your Tibetan doctor, as soon as she feels that imbalance of wind energy, she knows exactly which states of mind it's related to. So she can see why you're having panic attacks, it's because your attachment energy's gone berserk. It's mucked up your wind energies, you know, and they're incredibly connected, utterly inextricably, and they're incredibly sensitive. This imbalance of these winds often is what people are literally experiencing complete mental illness, completely berserk minds, because the winds are completely berserk, you know. So as Lama ever said, just, you know, because the view is every thought counts, every word counts, every action counts, they will leave impressions in the mind. So he says, just an angry thought. First, that, you know, continues the habit in the mind of anger, but also it naturally, immediately impacts upon the wind energy that it's inextricably linked to, polluting it. So that's the subtle wind. But then as you continue that, then those grow together. The habit gets stronger, stronger. The wind energy gets grosser, grosser. And then future, even in this life, not to mention next lives, it manifests as gross illness. Do you understand me? So all our illnesses, physical illnesses, are utterly related to the subtle winds and the states of mind and past karma. Do you understand? It can't just happen by accident. It's not just the food you eat. That's just the external condition. Everything you think impacts upon the winds in turn, which then brings the grosser the grosser experiences. And even the more long term, that negativity impacts upon the external elements, and you get born in a garbage dump environment. Because the fourth way that karma ripens is called environmental karma, the physical world itself, which is the manifestation of the four elements configured as either filthy or beautiful or divine or gross according to the karma of the sentient beings experiencing it. This is a really big shock. We would never think this way. You understand, people? Will come down to your mind. So what I'm getting at is this. Whatever you do in your mind manifests in four ways karmically. First, the type of body. So if negativity is strong and you die, like we talked yesterday, and in a very distressing situation, we've all got billions of karmic seeds, both positive and negative, all sitting there latent. So at some point, if the condition at the time of your death is very distressing, and you haven't lived a good life, and you haven't looked at your mind, and you've never thought of impermanence, it'll be very miserable death. And likely your fear will be so intense at the time you stop breathing, it'll trigger one of your negative karmic seeds, which programs you to go to the next life, to get a dog body or something. And they say, then the karmic seeds that are triggered fit the dog body. I mean, you don't get born with a dog body, but you've got a mind like Bach. It just doesn't work. You have a mind that's suitable to a dog body, a very gross mind, a very ignorant mind, a very fearful mind, So your negative karmic seeds will then manifest as the second way. Your first way is the dog body. The second one, all the personality of that particular dog, certain kind of mind. You could be a poodle dog, or you could be an aggressive maniac dog that likes to eat people. The tendencies in your mind, according to karma. Third is your experiences. You might be a poodle who everybody on the planet adores, and you live in a fancy apartment in New York City and have special hostels when you go on a holiday, and you have special doctors, and you have psychiatrists, and you get the best chopped liver lunches, and you have left in the will for $1 million. Could be that one. You understand? And then the physical environment. We all have all these four. You have a body, a mind, experiences, and an environment. And they're the main cause of all of these for every living being without exception since beginningless time, as far as the Buddha's observation is concerned. This is his scientific analysis. Based on his observation is what minds do. So I'm getting at, when we say lousy environment, people are mean to you, those two especially, if they're nice, they're the fruit of virtuous actions. If they're ugly and mean, they are the fruit of non-virtuous actions. So in each case, when it's pleasant, people smile at you, the weather is warm, because we're in samsara and attachment's getting what it wants, it triggers what we call happy feelings. So like I said, in the model of the mind, it's really important to distinguish the neurotic deluded states of mind, one of which is called attachment, but the virtuous valid states of mind, one of which is called love, the delight that other people be happy. And then in the third category, all those mechanics of the mind, intention, concentration, good memory, discrimination, and feeling. Either happy feelings, unhappy feelings, neutral feelings. Forget the neutral. So whatever, any condition out there based on your karma will either trigger a happy feeling or an unhappy feeling. And of course, if it's a happy feeling, and if the cause of it happens to be torturing people because of some past karma, you don't care. You just have to do it privately because you want those happy feelings. We're junkies, This is the tragedy of happy feelings that that rise in us on the basis of doing negative things. This is why we're in such suffering, So that's why I used the example of that little boy fisherman. He'd never thought of fishing before. Someone takes him fishing, and then the 12 links of dependent arising, the one called contact, you contact with your mind, connects contacts with that event, fishing. It then determines the intensity of the next one, which is called feeling, whether it's pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling. So in his case, it triggered intensely pleasant feelings, and that the intensity of his pleasant feelings, what we call happiness, is dependent upon the intensity, in his case, of his past habit to kill. This is the total tragedy. Then next one all happens in an instant. The next link, then intense attachment kicks in. that paints a delicious picture of fishing that makes them as blind as a bat for the rest of his life. And he sees those fish in his boat, he sees them dying an agonizing death, but he never sees suffering. This is the total tragedy. So happy feelings, we all want them. And all Buddha's doing is saying, if you're in samsara, you do all these dumb things to get the happy feelings. And that's all we do is we have to swear now, piss it all down the toilet, because every time you kill fish, you're creating heavy negative karma, but you get happy feelings from it, and you've got attachment to it, so it looks divine to you, so you never see the suffering. And the worst nightmare, the tendency to keep killing, causes you then go straight back to the lower realms. To understand these types of analyses, you know. So happiness, pleasant feelings, in other words, the happiness, could be very mild pleasure, intense pleasure, and every millisecond there's one kind of pleasant or unhappy feeling every millisecond. So that's why we need to analyze it, because we really do believe that getting the cake and killing the fish, depending on the habit, is the method for getting happy. So clearly eating the cake isn't as intense as killing the fish. Obvious, goes without saying. But still, you're still pissing your virtue down the toilet. I'm sorry to be blunt. Because the pleasant feeling, and this is the terrible irony now. You know, the fisherman, he thinks the killing of the fish, which is the habit in his past mind, because he didn't live in vows and didn't purify it, he thinks the cause of those happy feelings, the main cause, is killing fish. And he can be forgiven for thinking that, because it came spontaneously. The moment he met fishing, he was in love. Of course he thinks it's the fishing. Hello? You're thinking where to sit or what? Sit down. So you understand me, people? Can you hear this? It's really intricate. Who would have thought of this unless we looked at the thing, you know, looked at the 12 links and understand this? It's extremely necessary to understand this. This is Buddhist teaching, you know. Very fascinating. This is why it's giving up attachment is so hard. Because it's attachment, the hunger to get pleasant feelings, that drives us. And the first level of contact, as we can see, is with the sense. Sit down. Bring your doggy as well. Hello, doggy. Sit. So do you see what I'm saying? For us, we mightn't go around killing fish or killing other people or torturing or lying or stealing. Aren't we lucky? But we want to eat cake and jump on boys and watch videos and be comfortable and, you know, sleep and eat and go to the toilet, all driven by attachment. So this is the thing. Okay, get to the point now. This is the one that's the most painful idea. What is the main? Every second, like I said, every second in a day, as long as your mind is working, one of the always present states of mind is this one called feeling. There's one every millisecond. Is continuously there. And there's either going to be a pleasant feeling, depending on the degree, an unpleasant feeling, depending upon the degree, and a neutral feeling. So forget the neutral, because all we care about is the pleasant and unpleasant. So every millisecond, a pleasant feeling is arising. Okay, so we know just sitting here like this, not eventually very unpleasant feelings will come, because attachment will be so distressed because it's not getting anything. It needs a junkie, it needs contact with something. Attachment. You know? So the best we can do if we don't have any sensory objects is just have fantasies. Because we need to trigger. We don't know how to get pleasant feelings. We don't know. And this body, having a body in its nature actually is extremely unpleasant, because you've got to keep it and protect it and nurture it and love it and make sure this and make sure that. We spend all our lives trying to get the body to be comfortable, get reasonable, pleasant feelings. It's not easy, you can see. So, every millisecond in a day, you can say, oh, there's a pleasant feeling, as many as there are. Each one of them, you have to ask the question, what is the main cause of that pleasant feeling arising? Whether it's in the mind of the fisherman killing the fish, whether it's in the mind of my friend on death row in Kentucky who thinks of torture all the time, or whether it's in the mind of you getting the chocolate cake. We think it's the chocolate cake. We think it's the torturing the person. We think it's killing the fish, and we can be forgiven for thinking it because it happens immediately. But Buddha says no. The cake, the torturing, and the fish are merely catalysts due to past karma that trigger a pleasant or unpleasant feeling. And so what's the main cause? And this is the point. Very simple. Every millisecond of pleasant feeling is the fruit of a past seed you planted in your mind of virtue. That's it. So that fisherman, he's got all this virtuous karmic seeds in his mind from past actions. Like he's got a bank vault of virtuous karmic seeds from having done virtuous actions. They're sitting there, and the tragedy is, because he's in samsara like us, we don't know how to trigger them. We don't know how to access them, except by doing something with our body and speech. So he kills fish due to the habit. So he's instantaneously, every time, it's sort of like you put your ATM card in, you got money in the bank, which is all your karmic seeds of virtue, and you put your card in, and it activates the $20 to come out, doesn't it? So that $20, it's like thinking the card, putting the seed, it's like thinking the $20 is coming from the card being in the hole is stupid. We know the $20 is there from past savings, and the card is merely the method to get the $20. You get my point? So that eating the fish, killing the fish, torturing the person, eating the cake, that's putting your card in, and then you think that's the main cause. Oh, I must put my card back in the thing, I'll get more money. No, not if you've got no karmic seeds there, you won't. So the trouble is, you've only got money in the bank, you've only got karmic virtuous seeds in the bank from past virtue. But the trouble is, we do negative things, which then triggers it to ripen. So what a tragic utter waste. It's like getting your money and then using it to wipe your bottom and throw it in the bin. It's like using money as toilet paper. That's the utter tragedy. We absolutely piss our lives down the toilet. You've got all this virtue, you've got this money you've saved, the virtuous karma you've saved from past virtue. It's there. And the only way you know how to get it, to access it, is by following attachment, stuffing yourself with a cake, jumping on the boys, watching the videos, being lazy, sleeping, eating, going to the toilet, all driven by attachment. Because that's the only way we know how to trigger some virtuous, some happy feeling. Feelings aren't virtuous. They're happy or unhappy. Virtue is what causes a happy feeling to trigger, to ripen, and non-virtuous karmic seeds, your other bank vault, they are the fruit of doing negative karmic seeds. Negative actions. So every ripening of every second of every unhappy feeling is the fruit of a negative action. This is what Buddha is saying. That's why he says virtue is the cause of happiness and non-virtue is the cause of suffering. It's just not evident to us. You can't see that. This is the logic of it, technical. And that's why they have compassion for other people. Because that's why people kill, because they think it's the cause of happiness. Because of past karma, they haven't purified it. Lying, stealing, torturing, murdering, jumping on little girls, all the negative things that people do, why they're driven to do it is the craving to be happy. And then because of the 12 links all playing out, destroying our. So they say the vast majority of all humans on the planet today who get a human body from a past virtue of non-killing, it ripened as a human body, but because they haven't purified all aspects of their karma, they're going to be reborn with a tendency to kill, or they might get killed, or they might die young. You know, so the vast majority of all humans on the planet today who got the human body as a result of non-killing virtuous karma will go to the lower realms when they die, because not understanding the system. But understanding what happiness is and what causes it. It's understandable. And you don't have to be Hitler. You're a normal human being with attachment. Who never looks at their mind, never thinks of impermanence, always following attachment, always dissatisfied, eats too much, sleeps too much, jumps on this, has fantasies, even a nice person, what we call a nice person, who never looks at their mind, no awareness, no understanding of cause and effect. I mean, talk about compassion for sentient beings. If we haven't got compassion, something's wrong. It's heartbreaking. So we better sort ourselves out first, isn't it? So everybody wants happy feelings. We just don't know what the cause is. That's all. That's our trouble. We misread all the signs, you know. So at least if we have the analysis clear, we have confidence in these teachings, and we know we want happiness. And every millisecond, a happy feeling arises in contact with a nice cake, in contact with a friendly person. You know, this is why to remember karma, to delight in your past virtue, to see it as empty and to offer it and to repay the kindness. Then you save your karmic seeds and out of the virtuous karmic. So you use your $20 coming out of the ATM to get more virtue. Then you're on the case. Then you're cool. Then have your pleasure. But you see it as empty, you offer it, you know what caused it, you have an analysis, a valid analysis of it. Assuming you're a Buddhist, you don't have to if you don't want to. This is the Buddhist view. Second by second. So happiness is actually a state of mind. A virtuous action will leave a seed in the mind that will ripen as a moment of happiness. But because we've got these gross bodies and living world in relation to others, it will also manifest as being seen as a nice person, treated well, lovely weather, food that nourishes me, etc., etc. Happiness is not a function of the food or the weather, but they are getting those experiences, getting those configurations of the four elements is also the fruit of virtue. So our virtue ripens in four ways: a type of rebirth, tendencies in the mind, experiences similar to the cause, and environmental results. So killing as non-killing as an example. So non-killing as a main action lived by living in vows of non-killing. That karmic seed will ripen. The fully ripened result will be a human body. The second way that non-killing will ripen, if you've lived in vows of non-killing, will be that you'll wake up in this life with no thought to kill. And then you look at the human realm, most humans have a tendency to kill because they haven't lived in vows and so they haven't purified that aspect. We've got a human body because we've been in the lower realms in the past and we've finished that karma, the negative karma of killing. That's run out, but we haven't purified the tendency to kill. We haven't purified the experience of being killed or dying young, and we haven't purified the environmental result of being sick and having the environment harming you, you know. Those three residual results of the main karma haven't been purified. So look at the human realm. 7 billion humans, but how many actually never think to kill? How many have got happy, healthy lives and living a long life? Not many. You understand, all the suffering in the world as a human comes from not having purified the negative tendencies by living in vows. So that's, by living in vows, you purify all aspects of the tendencies. So the method to get a happy life, next life, is one, to live in vows of refraining from harming sentient beings. And that means 24 hours a day you live in those vows. You're ticking over the virtuous karma of non-killing, non-stealing, non-lying, which will purify all four results. If you don't have vows not to kill, it's only when you have a sentient being there, you have the intention not to kill, you have a good motivation, and you consciously do the action of not killing, and the sentient being stays alive. How often in a day do we have those conditions? Very rare. So it's only then, when you don't live in vows, that you would drop a virtuous karmic seed of non-killing into your bank vault. And that's just not enough. So as Amba Zopa says, being good is not enough. So if you want happiness, practice virtuous states of mind, practice virtuous actions by living in vows, and that is the easiest method. And then to purify your negative karma. So both living in vows and purifying your negative karma are putting atomic bombs under the tendencies to kill, steal, lie. And so what that will ripen as when you die is a decent human body, decent tendencies, no thought to kill or harm or lie or steal. You won't get killed or stolen from or die or be harmed or tortured or the bank say, no, you've got no credit. You'll only be treated nicely and have good experiences. And the physical world will impact upon you in a very healthy, good way. You live, eat what you like and live a happy life until you're 97, eating whatever you like. You'll be fine. So forget nirvana, forget bodhicitta, forget Buddhahood. Is this not what we want? What we want? Happiness. That's how you get it. This is the Buddha's analysis, okay? So any questions? I don't have to accept Buddha's view. This is Buddha's view. It's clearly a long-term view. It's not immediate. Any questions, people? Yeah. Go, darling. Yes.
Hi. So when it comes to karma,
Yes.
because I've been thinking about this a lot lately this year, and how we can all help to balance our karma. So let's say somebody in their younger life did steal, okay? Maybe they stole from a friend or a family.
Okay, go on. So then, go on, yeah.
Yep, so they've gained that negative karma.
Okay, so the question.
And so then later in life, one would think, okay, so for some reason that money will then be taken away from them because their karma has.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. Just ask me a question. It's easier.
Well, okay, well, because I'm trying
scenario.
to relay the story so that I can.
No, just ask the question.
Okay, well then let's give it off to somebody else for now.
Okay, you think it through and then get the question, and it'll be easy to digest it.
I know what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, just ask the question.
Okay.
This is really good exercise. So try and think it through and get the question. All right, darling. Who else? A couple people online as well. Yes.
How do we get the vows?
By asking the people, Geshe Sherab must be coming back soon. When's he coming back soon, right? He gives refuge and vows.
Okay, that's the vows. We don't have to become monks and nuns.
No, Don, this is particularly, the first step we take is refuge and lay vows, layperson vows. And then the next step would be if you want to become a monk or nun, that comes later. But refuge is always the first step. Refuge and then the lay vows. And it's sort of like a starting point, just entry level into kind of formalizing your practice. So Geshe Sherab asked him, request him, Venerable John Brooke, he does it regularly, but make the request. You need to ask. And then he'll set it up as a thing. That's how you do.
I've probably done it a bunch of times.
What we have?
I've probably done it a bunch of times, but I need to do it more.
Exactly, that's right. And it's good to do it again to remind us.
Okay.
And to purify the vows. It's really good to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Goes, where's he gone? The man's gone. What happened to him? He disappeared. Maybe he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking through his question. Okay, so wait on, hang on a second. Two here. So Alona, what's your question, darling?
Venerable, thank you for your teachings.
Good, sweetheart.
I have a colleague at work, a very nice lady with lots of good karma, but she's a hunter.
Say again, what about karma? What did you say about karma? What?
She has a lot of good karma in her life, right? And it's like she has good life, good country, good, like healthy children, grandchildren, but she is a hunter. She kills animals.
Right, exactly.
I wonder if anything I can say to plant a seed, to plant somehow, so that.
Okay, Alona, okay, I understand. I understand, darling. Okay, this is normal. This is a typical, this is typical. She hunts, but people might kill ants and cockroaches, millions more, and people, this is normal. So the thing is, first of all, there you are. It's like, it's like you've been unhealthy and you found a really good system of nutrition and now you're really healthy. And then you suddenly see everybody around the world looking really unhealthy and you want to make them better. You want to help them. So the very first question is you've got to have enough wisdom to know, is this person interested in hearing about this? Are they even interested? And 90% of people, they're not, and it's none of your business anyway. So if a conversation comes up, and you know the person well and they love you and like you, and maybe they heard you're a Buddhist, oh, you don't kill, tell me about that. Then there's an opportunity. But otherwise, mind your own business and love the person for who they are and get a learning from it from yourself and reiterate your wish never to kill again. And then if and when there's ever an opportunity, the person's ready for some advice, you give it to them, otherwise be quiet. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Good. Okay.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Who else? Some other question? Yes, sweetheart. Go, Robin.
Along the same lines that Alona asked, someone that knows the teaching regarding killing and does it anyway, is that because their karma just isn't there?
But I mean, darling, that's just us. That's us. What are you talking about? I mean, are we all perfect? Excuse me. This is exactly you're talking about yourself. What are you talking about, Barbara? You'd be a Buddha if you were doing it all. You'd be Buddha right now. So clearly, we're not a Buddha yet because we say one thing and do another because it's hard. Don't talk about other people. Alona says it's heartbreaking to see one person murder. Well, I mean, Auden herself. She still eats, sleeps, go to the toilet. They're so-called following attachments. So learn from it. Excuse
I
me.
get it.
It's all of us, dear. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time for a person to be at the level of seeing their mind every millisecond and never doing a single negative action. You'd have realizations already. So we've got to go one step at a time, try to understand things clearly, look at it, and then make decisions, live in vows, and do the best we can every day, every second. But then be realistic about who we are and what we're doing, you know? You understand?
I do. Thank you.
Yeah, sweetheart.
Hello?
Yes, talk to me.
Hello? Yeah, okay. Long time ago, in Santa Fe, I was at a place I lived and there was a
You what,
mouse.
sweetheart? I can't hear so well.
Can you
A
hear
bit
me?
louder, a bit louder.
Hello,
Better, yes.
years ago,
Yeah,
there was a mouse in the house.
yeah.
A mouse in the house. And it wasn't running around and I felt it asked me to help it die.
You thought the mouse wanted you to help it die.
So I picked it up and held it in my hands and just was with it.
And what?
And then in my mind's eye, because I closed my eyes, I felt kind of like a little cloud of sparkles or lights coming off its body. And it died. Do you have what would Buddhism say about that?
I don't know. I have no idea, darling. So you had the thought that it would die soon. You had that sense, did you? That's just because maybe you're just a bit intuitive and you had some karmic connection, that particular mouse, and you, in fact, were right. These things can happen. Yeah. So lucky little mouse. Did you say a mantra in its ear or something? What did you do to help it die well? Nothing. Just it died peacefully, you think?
No, I would say that my spirit joined with
What, sweetheart?
that my spirit sat or held its spirit.
Good, darling. Very nice. Very kind.
And
Thank
then
you.
these little sparkles.
That's nice. That's lovely. Good. Little mouse. So good.
So well, I think other people have questions. So.
It's fine. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Go on. If you have another question, for sure, ask. Anybody online about the things I've just been discussing? Okay, no questions. So, okay, so if you're trying to take this, if you decided you want to try to take this advice into your life, then this is where we just, we've got to, if you like the Buddha's teachings and like this view and decide it's your working hypothesis, then you've got to start at the beginning. And the first step is, what Space suggested, the first step is, okay, I'm going to sort of decide, you're looking around, you're looking for yoga, and you decide I'm going to commit to yoga. So you find a place you like, and then you start committing. So here, it's the same. The first step would be to commit, to do this formal, it's very helpful to have formal kind of commitment, you have a formal commitment of taking refuge where you, in front of somebody, you check carefully that person is one of your teachers, and then you request, and then you learn about refuge, you learn about relying upon the Buddha, the Dharma, his teachings, his methods, and the Sangha, the spiritual community. And you commit to that. And you commit to do various things every day in relation to that commitment. Sort of like you're shaking hands with the person and you do a deal. They'll do your job and you'll do their job. It's like you're writing a contract with them, they give you this, and they become like the Buddha for you, and they got this information they got this from their teacher, who got it from their teacher, who got it from their teacher, and you can track it right back to the Buddha. So like you're plugging into this power source. So it says Keshi Sharab, and you sit there, you listen, then you kneel on one knee and you repeat 3 times. I, whose name is from this moment, from the time of my death, will rely upon the Buddha, blah, 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 3 times. You strengthen it in your mind. And then you commit to take refuge morning and night. You commit to make offerings every day. You commit to offer your first mouthful of food and drink to the 3 jewels. You commit to be at least nice to sentient beings. Half a dozen things, that remind you that this is what you're doing. The second part of the ceremony, you take the 5 layperson vows. And this, psychologically is very powerful. So I want to speak about what vows are again, because we hear them in a very particular way. I think we hear them from the perspective of someone squashing on top of you, telling you don't do this and don't do that. And if you do it, you're naughty and you'll get punished, which is the view we have, which is very superficial, So vows are powerful psychologically. And I think we know this if we analyze it. So, you know very well that if you say, you decide, you take a vow, quote unquote. No, even more simple. When you learn to do anything, I think when we learn to do anything, drive a car, make a cake, do anything, when we learn to do something, it's some parts of the learning includes a decision to not do certain things, a vow, and some parts of it are things you commit to do. And in this tradition, they talk about you have a commitment to do something. You have a vow to refrain from something, and you commit to do something. So when you then, for example, you're going to drive a car. If you wrote down every tiny thing that you vowed not to do and committed to do, that ends up you being a car driver, there would be hundreds. We don't think of it like that. You vow never to put your foot on the accelerator at the same time as the brake. You vow to never put the indicator showing you're going left and then turn right. You know these things. You don't think of it as a vow. You think, I'd better learn this, otherwise I'll be a lousy driver and I'll kill myself. So no one's sitting on top of you, or you're a naughty girl. You want to learn these things because you're learning how to be a car driver. And everything we learn, analyze it, is like that. And some have such intricate things that you remember what to do and not what to do. They're highly sophisticated. Imagine being an architect or a builder or a piano player. It consists of a series of things you won't do and a series of things you will do, and you take them seriously and you learn them. And why are you doing this? Because you want to turn yourself into a piano player. Here, you're wanting to turn yourself into a virtuous, happy, wise person. We hear it as punitive and religious and all that. Such nonsense, So vows are tremendous. And it's obvious. Learning, remembering never to put the foot on the brake at the same time as the accelerator is so powerful, because you'll end up exactly doing that. Otherwise, you get in the car and you'll crash it every time. You won't even know how to drive a car. So what we're trying to turn ourselves into in this very first level of practice is into a virtuous, meaning a wise, kind, well-behaved human being who doesn't harm others. And you're programming yourself into becoming that kind of person. Who doesn't want that kind of person? You're programming yourself into becoming a happy person, a happy, non-harming person. How amazing. And the other thing is, once you've decided it, it's so powerful because it's now sitting right on your shoulder. Like Pinocchio or somebody, I don't know who that was, somebody, you'll never forget it. You'll never forget it. You'll never forget it, but it's right there. So when you decide to go on a diet, it's the same. You will never forget it. You see the cake and you've got this little person here, the little vow, Robina, you said you wouldn't eat the cake, and you keep your hand in your lap. So not merely not kill, and so the other point, the Buddhist view about the power of vows, especially, we have to understand how we create karma. So like I said before, you know, we might not be killing. At this moment in time, in this room, we are not doing the action of killing. That's clear. But we are creating zero virtuous karma of not killing because our mind isn't involved in it. We've got to understand that. We're just being nice people right now. And why are we being nice people? Why are we not killing? Because there's no creatures to kill. Due to your virtuous karma, no one's disturbing you. So we're just resting on our laurels, you know. So vows, what's so powerful, you decide, I'm going to not kill. You commit to be a non-killing person. You vow from this moment until the time of my death, I will never kill. And you reiterate it every day in your practice. And then you purify as well at the end of the day. Lama says we're insane not to do that practice every day. Where you regret any killing you've ever done because you don't want future suffering. You have compassion for those you've killed. You do the practice of purifying, and the fourth step, you vow, I will not kill in another day. So you're strengthening and putting atomic bombs under those tendencies. But the main one is with having a vow not to kill. So here we are not killing. So if you don't have a vow not to kill, like I said before, the only time you drop a rich, delicious, non-killing karmic seed into your bank vault, which you need to get just a human body next life. You have to have the mouse there, the intention, I will not kill, driven by a compassionate motivation. You physically do the action of preventing from killing, and the little happy mouse. That's a fully ripened result. That's a complete action of not killing. Whereas if you have a vow not to kill, 24 hours a day, it's in your mind. Sleeping, eating, having sex with your new boyfriend, 24 hours a day, you've got that vow in your mind. You're ticking over virtuous karmic seeds of non-killing and plonking them into your bank vault of rich karmic seeds of non-killing. And it purifies all four results of killing. So next life, you'll wake up with a good, healthy human body, no tendency to kill. You won't get killed or die young, and a nice, delicious environment. This is technical methodology, not religion, not do this, don't do that, you'll get punished, rewarded, blah, blah. No punisher, no rewarder. One Lama was asked, what's the one piece of advice you'd give anybody? He said, don't kill. Because the heaviest negative one. So then, okay, so one, living in vows, the 5 lay vows, no killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, or intoxicants. But you don't have to take all those 5 vows. When His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives killing, he knows us modern people, the thought of vowing to not kill a cockroach is just too much for our poor minds. So he doesn't even give that part. He just says, don't kill human beings. But I can't do that. It's not my job. So when I give it, I have to give it according to the rules, you know. And what you've got to understand also is, this is the point, like Barbara's question about how do I know I'm going to die well? Can I guarantee it or whatever? No, you cannot guarantee, but you can guarantee, if you know it's a natural law, if you know botany is a natural law, the more you learn about botany, the more certain you can be, you'll get the results, isn't it? It's logical. Karma is the same. Karma is the same. It's a natural law. No one's running it. No one manages it. No one's punishing. No one's rewarding. And that's really hard for our minds to hear. It does. Don't think it's just, it appears so different to us. You know? And that's Buddha's method for getting happy in the future. And it doesn't mean you won't start getting happy now, of course. So living in vows is the most powerful way to live a virtuous life, and it's reminding you every second, and you're taking over virtuous karma every second. But also Rinpoche says too, you know, the main cause of getting a human body is non-killing. But to get a decent life and a decent condition in your life where you have leisure and time and space, the other main cause is generosity. Giving, and means giving material things. The cause of having even access to 1 grain of rice is past generosity. So you can see the human realm. So many people have a good life, a good body. They have no conditions. They have to work day and night just to get bowls of rice in their stomach. So to have the miracle of leisure so that you can then spend time working on your mind and practicing and benefiting others. This is tremendously powerful. And for this, you need generosity. Non-killing and generosity. Because all the vows, all the karma, all the actions of non-stealing, non-lying, etc., etc. This is the cause of happiness. Happy mind, and then happiness in the mind triggered by pleasant experiences, triggered by the environment being pleasant as well. So happiness is a state of mind, but also there are external conditions that will ripen as the fruit of virtue that will then trigger happy feelings within you. The tricky part, of course, is having attachment to those things. Then that destroys it, you know. So if you've got the virtuous karma of non-killing and a person offers you a meal and because you don't have any non-killing karma, it will nourish you and it will taste really nice. But if you have attachment to it, that's where you destroy it. You know, so when you know it's the fruit of virtue, that nice meal, the pleasant weather, the person being kind to you, you don't just greedily take it for granted. Your mind is wow, that's the fruit of my virtue, how incredible. Then you see it as empty, you see it as a past karma, and you vow to use it well, like that $20 you get out of the ATM machine. Don't use it as toilet paper. So that $20 is the fruit of your past virtue, the past saving, just using it as the analogy. So you use it to create more. So that's why karma is not just the bad things. Like I said, no one has ever asked me the question, why do good things happen? I've never had that question in 45, 50 years, ever, from anybody. Only ever the bad. It's very fascinating because we have a deep primordial assumption that we just deserve good things. So when good things happen, we go, well, of course, I deserve it. We don't even, this is the worst hubris of attachment. It's like looking out in your garden and all these veggies are out there and you know you didn't do it. You think, oh, aren't I lucky? Well, of course I deserve vegetables. You bloody well, someone out there should be putting more vegetables in me. And it's outrageous. It's shocking attachment. So much hubris, so much kind of entitlement. That's why we never ask why do good things happen. We don't care why. Just give me more. You know. That's why attachment destroys everything. Destroys all the good things. Oh, aren't I lucky? We'll say. No, you're not lucky. It's a fruit of your past virtue. But the tragedy is you don't know that, so you greedily eat it up and demand more. That's how you destroy the good things that happen. And then when the bad things happen, you get angry and outraged and how dare this happen to me? I don't deserve it. You know? So those views, attachment and aversion, come along with no view of karma. It's having a view of karma and practicing that every second. It's extremely sophisticated practice. It's extremely hard. So at least remember as much as we can, you know, living vows, purify every day, work on our minds. Wow. Be very happy with this. One step at a time. Then you have the bodhisattva vows. We're talking the first level here. Then you got the bodhisattva vows. It's even more amazing. And of course, if you got those, who remembers them? You know, there's 18 root vows and 46 secondary vows. Most of us can't even say one of them. So it's like you've got 46 things to learn how to drive a car and you don't know any of them. Well, it's a miracle you don't get killed every day on the highway, if that's the case, you know. So the first level of vows, like we talked, the pratimoksha, individual liberation, the vows of not stealing, not killing, non-harming, backing off and leaving sentient beings alone. This is the main method to bring oneself future happiness. And the bonus, of course, is as Lama Zopa says, the rats and roaches will have a party because you leave them in peace. Then you go to the next level, still vows of refraining from harming, but they're much more powerful because they're driven by doing what's best for the other person. And this is a tremendously powerful. So if you don't study these, you don't know what to do. So it's really good, you know, so if you've taken these yourself, I'm sending them to Barbara's asked me. Years and years and years ago, I went one time in Boston. Somebody who'd taken Kala Chakra initiation with His Holiness. and we were discussing what we had to do, you know, and they kept saying, oh, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. So we had a talk. And then I realized that the instructions, like you guys have taken from Yamantaka, but some of you don't even know what you're doing. You didn't hear it about succession. Because you share I've taught it, but you must have gone. Not being rude. There's a lot of details involved. It's quite intricate, you know. So we need to know those details. So I thought we don't know half these things ourselves. So I had to find them all and put them together in one PDF. So if anybody wants, it's all coming from Lama Zopa. It's all there, but all in one place. The vows and commitments in relation to refuge and lay vows, and the Bodhisattva vows, and 2 commentaries on the Bodhisattva vows from Alex Berzin and another Lama, and then the Tantric vows and the Tantric commitments and the 6 session Guru Yoga and commentaries by Lama Zopa. I mean, there's all there in one place if you want it. And if you haven't taken Highest Yoga Tantra, you can have the one with the Bodhisattva vows and refuge. I'm happy to give you that. Just have to ask me and I'll send it to you. Do you understand? So I mean, it's all over the place. You can't ever find it. I realize that. One piece of paper here, one piece of paper there. Do you understand? It was a good exercise for myself to remind me of all this stuff. And then we go, oh, so many vows. How can I keep all those? Oh. We want to become happy or not. You can't just, oh, I want to be a cook. Oh, all those vows. I've got to go every week to cooking class. Oh, I just can't be bothered doing that. You've got to decide what you want, you know. And this is technical stuff, not holy and you have gooey feeling and say prayers. Are we communicating? Am I raving on here? Who's there? Hello, Nicola. Talk to me, sweetheart.
Hi.
Nicole,
Thank
good.
you. Yes, thank you. I have 2 questions. One is I'm responsible for a 3-family house, and we had mice last year, and I didn't want to call the exterminator, so the other family did, and because we didn't exterminate the whole house, the mice didn't go away, and they had a baby, and so I allowed the exterminator in my.
I understand, yeah. I understand. So what did you do about it? Did you try to purify it and do something for the benefit of the mice or what? No.
I didn't know, but I could do that now.
So you didn't do it then?
No, I didn't know about purification then.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. So then,
I'm new.
sure, of course. I mean, the fact is, even if so you did decide to do, you had to weigh up okay, I understand. So then you try to purify. You do the 4 opponent powers. Have you got that practice or not?
Yeah.
You do regret because you don't want the future suffering of yourself getting killed or being suffering. Then you have compassion. Then you vow, and then you purify. Then you do the practice, and then you vow not to do it again. And the interesting point about doing the 4 opponent powers, that each of those 4 steps purifies each of the 4 ways that karma ripens. So if you vow not, you regret having killed because you don't want the future suffering. You have compassion for them. You do the practice, and then you vow not to do again. You're purifying, and it's likely you won't have to do it again. You won't meet the mice to be killed because you're changing your karma, So this is how it works. Do you understand me? You're changing the whole scenario. So it's very good to do that.
Okay.
And,
so the 7 limb prayer count, is that?
What's sweetheart?
The 7 limb prayer, if you do that, the 7 limb prayer.
What you saying?
Oh,
What you
let me
I
turn
can't
this
hear,
on.
darling. Yeah,
The-
speak to me.
The 7 limb prayer,
What about it?
is that if I do it during the 7 limb prayer?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. No. Do you know the practice of the 4 opponent powers or not? The Vajrasattva practice. Do you know about that?
I do know about it.
Well, listen, sweetheart, why don't you just email me? It's simpler, and I'll send you a document. How about that?
Perfect.
You
And
know get my email address by my name, Robina Courtin, all one word. Robina Courtin.
Yep.
At Mac, like the computer, at mac.com.
Okay,
And
thank
you
you.
remind me of this conversation. I'll send you a couple of PDFs, sweetheart.
Okay, and also I live in New York. Would you give me the refuge vows?
Oh, sweetheart, yeah. So I'm in New York. I teach at Shanti Deva a couple of times a month. And we can work it out. Some different people ask me sometimes, but I always like to do it in one of the centers. So we'll likely do it at Shanti Deva one time. Yeah, it'd be nice to meet you.
I came there once to hear you.
Okay, good, darling. So stay in touch.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good, Nicole.
Thank you.
Time to finish. This is some more questions. Okay. What do? People? Oh, okay. Yes. What about you with your doubts? Good, darling. I'm happy. All we can do is think about it, isn't it? That's all we can do. That's all we can do. Think about it and decide if you want to take it on board. You know, it's up to us. We're the boss. Run it according to our own pace. It's very important. Okay, another 90 minutes gone like a dream. Oh, it's only an hour. It's enough though. It's supposed to go to 2 o'clock. It's enough, I think. Enough. I'm so intense. You've got more than enough. I mean, I say things so intensely and so much more loud and quicker than most people. It's more like 4 o'clock right now. It's true though. It is. You've got to admit it's true, isn't it? So it's enough. 90 minutes to me is too much. Yes, space. Good, sweetheart.
Are we supposed to become vegetarians?
There's no supposed to in anything. So it's a question of deciding yourself based on understanding karma, how you'd like to live your life. So sit down, Luke. Let's just talk about that one. It's a huge topic. It's a big topic. Okay, let's talk about it. And I think it's a very emotional topic because we're very attached to eating food. Are we not?
Yes.
So I've never yet, this is my point, always, I've never yet had any person ever ask me the question, what's the karma of wearing a leather belt? Because it's the same principle, isn't it? We always ask about food because we're very obsessed with food. And I think that's why there's so much fundamentalism and political activity around vegetarianism and veganism. Right? Do you understand? People get very emotional and very excited and run around, telling people what to do. Of course, the meat industry, on one side, the meat industry is appalling. Apparently, what it's doing to the planet is really outrageous. Not to mention the acute suffering of all the creatures. There's no question about that. There's no question. And then also, okay, so let's start. So different points. So on the one side, everything we think and do and say leaves a seed of some kind in our mind. First point. Second point, the key factor that makes it a strong seed in our mind is dependent upon the intensity of our motivation for doing it. You get my point now? So if you accidentally kill an ant, that's obviously very different from intentionally killing an ant and rejoicing in its suffering. It's really clear. One ant is dead, but look at the difference in terms of the karma a person creates. That's really clear, So, okay, that's the first point, one point. The next point is in terms of food okay, so the broader point would be what is the karma we create when we use the flesh of animals who died, basically that's it. Leather belts, silk, medicines, food, so many things that have involved the death of animals that we then benefit from. There's no question. But on the other hand, not only that, we've got to really remember, even if you never eat a single piece of flesh and never wear a leather belt and never look at an egg, nevertheless, just by existing, and this is the broader point, that we can see the fact that just by existing, we are harming sentient beings. Just by breathing. Our body is like a zoo. Under our armpits, like a zoo. There's an entire ecosystem in our mouth. There are billions of beings living in our body. You're breathing in creatures. You're standing on them. You're driving cars, all of these things. There's no question that just by existing, we're harming others. And we can't argue with that. It's a fact, scientific fact. So then, the broadest point of all would be to try to do our best in our life to at least not harm others. That's the best. That's the very best. And that's why living in vows of not killing, just for yourself, your own benefit, you're purifying your mind tremendously, but also you're purifying the likelihood of meeting situations in which you feel you are forced to kill. So you're protecting yourself and others by living in vows. This is tremendous. So then when it comes to food or whatever, the intensity of the karma we create, as I said, is dependent upon the motivation. And also, you see, okay, a complete action of killing, the first thing, it has to be, there has to be a living being in front of you. A living being has to be there now. Then you'd have the intention, I will kill it, and the motivation will be because I'm attached and I'm hungry. Third, you'd kill the fish, and then four, you'd eat it, and the fish is dead. That would be a complete action of killing. That's a complete action of killing. So we obviously don't do that. We might, some of us, like, Alona's friend at work does that. But what we will do is we'll go to the supermarket, or go to the nice shops, or go online and get them to deliver us a nice fish, So we know that. So, and then we know that someone's done it. So all of that's there. And we'll know the fishing industry is appalling or whatever. I saw recently appalling what they do in the ocean. They have what's that famous English man? He's nearly 100 already, still doing those shows. Attenborough. And there he is, in 97, they did this new show about the oceans. And they've created the fishermen have created this massive machine, like a huge net, like a big dish in front, like in like a, when you scoop up all the dirt out of a building site, the great big fat thing, and it goes, and they had a camera on it, and it goes on the bottom of the ocean, ripping out the ocean, all the fish trying to get away, and they have billions of fish in this great big net, and they chuck out all the ones that they don't want, all dead and mangled, and keep one species, So it's the most brutal way of killing. It's unbelievable. And that's the big tragedy, because it's all based on, it's based on commerce, based on making money. That's the worst part of our world, isn't it? Most appalling when you look at how the chickens suffer and all the creatures. So the thing is, though, if we do decide, we can decide not to eat meat or fish. And the reason to make it, the reason that would be the best is because you have compassion. That's so beneficial for yourself. Now, the fact of the matter is, simply speaking, don't get all carried away and then think you're saving lives. I don't think that's true. I think the tipping point, it's my own personal opinion, the tipping point for the number of fish to stop being eaten in order for the whole shift to happen must be a tremendously powerful number. So the fact is, first of all, it's for your benefit. There's no question about that, because you've got compassion and you don't want to be involved in eating the fish, the bodies of these creatures, the lamb, the fish, whatever it might be. That's amazing. It's an amazing practice. But on the other hand, you could argue that a person who might eat meat occasionally or sometimes, it doesn't mean it's that negative for you personally. But even, this is a point now too, but with vegans and vegetarians don't like to think this. I always tell that story about when I was in Leeds in England, and I was in a shop, a cheese shop, and I had a picture of me on Facebook buying this kick-ass cheddar, right? And so there's all these fundamentalist vegans, how dare a Buddhist nun eat cheese, really rude, And I didn't want to be political, so I kind of I'd always wondered how many bugs get killed on the road, right? So, of course, you Google it, and some Dutch guy has done the research. And I mean, just on the number plate per car, per kilometre, I don't know, trillions of creatures get slaughtered. So I put that story on, no comment. And the guy who was complaining about me, he said, oh, you can't help that. That's just collateral damage. So that shows how irrational. So if you did that to eat the bugs, you'd be a monster. But you just kill the bugs, who cares? I mean, it shows how irrational it is, And then I did another story of this Australian scientist who got fed up with all the vegan, vegetarian fundamentalists. And there was this wheat field outside Melbourne somewhere. And he said in the off season, there was a particular plague of little mice, little field mice. They said they were so cute. He had pictures of them. They sing love songs to each other. And then, of course, what do when they want to plant the wheat? Which feeds 20% of the 20% of the wheat is used for the bulls, for the meat eaters, and the 80% is for the holy vegans and vegetarians. They slaughter them, and they don't care how. But even then, he said, oh, that's just collateral damage. So it shows how emotional and irrational that is, isn't it? I mean, that's just so clear, it's absurd. So eating meat, almost like you could argue eating meat, not eating meat, but at least as an action of compassion, especially if you're attached to meat. Like my sister Jan never ate meat, and she never went on about it. And I said, why not? She said, oh, I just see a cow. How can I eat it? I was so moved by that. I'm attached to meat. So for me, it's far better not to eat meat. I know it's a bloody cow, but I'm attached to meat. So for me, it's best not to eat meat for my own personal practice. Do you get my point? Yeah. So as whether for the creatures you save, I think that's not the whole decision, We don't get all caught up with it. So we've got to be very realistic, be conscious, be compassionate, and be aware of our actions every second. Not just go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Be aware, be conscious, be intentional, and have compassion. Do you understand me? So if you're going to eat fish and creatures, say a mantra, blow on the creature, and that'll at least give some blessing. But you've got to be conscious, it's got to be intentional. We've got to have compassion and do what we can, knowing our own mind. You understand? To not harm others. That's the broadest answer. And the other point I think is also true in our culture. We think if less people eat chickens, then less chickens get killed. Like I said before, I think the tipping point is pretty huge. And it's also due to karma of sentient beings. I mean, I remember in Maine one year, suddenly all the fishermen, or suddenly lobsters, 10 times more lobsters came into the waters of Maine one season. So initially the fishermen were all happy, then it collapsed the price. Damned extra, extra lobsters, and then the Maine state government had to spend millions on marketing these bloody lobsters. No one invited those lobsters. No one ordered more lobsters. That's due to karma. And the other point too is, if you've got the karma to get a job, if you don't have any karma to kill, you won't even notice an advertisement for a person in the slaughterhouse for a job. You won't even see it. But if you do see it and you've got karma to kill, that's the job you'll see. It's due to karma. So if a person's, let's say, so it's people who've got the karma to kill, there are people who are born the chickens and the fish due to the past killing. That's going to keep going unless we live in vows and stop killing as much as we can. So there's so many other factors involved than merely eating less or more. Do you understand what I'm saying, people? It's important to think about it.
Well, I was thinking like 60 years ago, I lived way up north in the winter. And it's the only time in my life I ever caught fish.
I see.
A 9-year-old boy taught me how.
Oh, I see.
But also the woman I lived with, her husband brought us moose.
Sorry, what time?
The husband brought the woman a moose, a dead moose to eat.
Sure.
This was subsistence people. That's all they had.
No, so what
to keep alive.
But what's the question from this?
It's not really a question, it's
But
observation.
we've got to get a conclusion from it. What's your conclusion from this?
Well, to my mind, that's different than going out with the big
No,
nets.
it's much worse. Because you got the karma to kill. You wouldn't do it if you didn't have the karma to do it. Lots of people live in subsistence. People in India are deadly poor. Billions of Indians are poor, but they've got a strong impulse not to kill. So they eat their rice and dal. That's their subsistence. No, it's due to what's in the mind of the person. The tendency is there. I'm not criticizing anybody, but that's the reason you do it. Many poor people will never go off and kill a cow. Depends on the state of mind. So there's an intention there and the karma to kill. That's far worse because it's the habit to do it. That's the worst one. It's not being rude to anybody. It's just trying to understand why we have these thoughts, Understand? Or not? Think about it. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah, because to me, it's like, Native Americans, that was their subsistence.
I know that means they've got a tendency to kill. Same with Australian Aboriginals. They eat live creatures. I'm not being rude. Listen, look at whatever we do shows a tendency in our mind. In our world, we tend to think, oh, you can't help, but we would think, oh, poor people steal because they're poor. No, people steal because they have a tendency to steal. People kill because they have a tendency to kill. That's the karma of people. American Indians, Australian Aboriginals, other people, Christians, Muslims, whoever, I don't care. If some people don't have a thought to kill, so they'll do something else. That's the key point here, what drives us to do things. And of course, in our cultures, it's huge. Killing is part of cultures. Christians say that God made these fish and these animals purely for our benefit. So people who are Christian feel they're doing God's will by killing them. So everyone's got a different view. I'm just giving you the Buddhist view. You understand me?
Yes.
Something to think about.
Yes.
Yeah. What else, people? Time to go. Yes, sweetheart. Yes, Nancy, go. Go, darling. Talk.
Venerable, this is just in relation to your comment about how intense your teachings can be.
Oh, okay, all right.
And how quickly you go. When I was in Courtin in 2021 for the November course,
Yes.
and we have the Lam Rim, it's a month long, and you're supposed to get through the course. And the person teaching it that time was a little slow. Plus there were activities, there were all these celebrations in the afternoon, activities and celebrations in the afternoon.
Sure.
So we didn't always get our afternoon class. And in our discussion group, people were just distressed that we were not going to get through this Lam Rim. And we did not. But when the people were complaining, our group leader looked at me, and you had taught there 2 years before. He looked at me, he said, Robina got through the damn thing twice.
There you go. There you go. Okay. So maybe there's an advantage. Well, these people don't go to sleep when I talk. You don't nod off. Okay, people. Good. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, darling. So what else, people? Yes, sweetheart. What's the question, please? Lou?
I'm sorry. I was
The microphone over here.
something online.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Good. Go. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good,
So
sweetheart.
you've talked about how killing is not helpful.
Well, no, killing harms other sentient beings. That's the point. It
Okay,
harms
so what
people.
about being killed?
What about it? What's the question?
Is that acceptable?
What do you mean acceptable?
Well, I've thought a lot about the Holocaust because I'm Jewish
That's right.
and I have ancestors who
Yes,
perished.
that's right. Yes.
And somehow I carry it, karma or my
Yes.
genes or
Yes.
epigenetic, it's called.
Yes.
Okay, so if the Nazis were at my door ready to take me off to the gas chamber,
Yes.
what would be a Buddhist reaction to?
You mean interpretation of it?
I don't know. No, I mean, is it okay for me to defend myself from being killed?
Oh, I see your point of the question. Oh, I see your point now. Okay. Okay. In general, the point here, in the Buddhist point, there's two things. One is to try and help ourselves. By that, and that means try not to kill, try not to steal, try not to lie, try not to be angry, try not to want to harm others. That's my practice for my benefit. Do you understand my point? Then the other practice is to help others. So now, if someone's going to attack me, harm me, it's perfectly reasonable to defend yourself, but it'll be out of wisdom and clarity and compassion, and even compassion to them because you don't want them to harm themselves by killing you. That would be the really purest view. That's the way to go. So yeah, absolutely do what you can, but not out of rage and despair and anger, because that does make a mess. So nothing wrong, it's perfect. You understand me? Of course, if we can stop other people harming others, how tremendous, how marvelous, That means being a political activist if we can, but with not coming from anger. That just destroys. You understand me? To try and do it out of a wise view, to wish to make the world a better place because everyone's suffering. And do you understand me? That's my best approach. What do you think of that?
And then I guess the follow-up would be if the only way I can defend myself successfully
is to kill him. Well, that's where, this is the point. If you killed this person out of anger and rage, you're only harming yourself. But if you kill this person out of genuine compassion for him, I know it sounds weird, that will be a tremendously powerful action. You see my point? We can't play with these ideas. We've got to work with it, because the Buddhist view of karma is everything we think and do and say, sweetheart. The Buddhist view of karma is everything we think and do and say programs us. Everything counts. So even when we have to do something, it's sort of like tough love. You shout at your kid, go to your room, I told you, no more chocolate. They think you're being angry, but you're not. So even to do actions like that out of genuine compassion, it could be possible. You've got to not play with it. You can't pretend. Do you understand me? Do you understand me?
Yes, I believe I
Okay.
do.
Good.
I feel badly because it seems that our species is killing the planet.
So, what, darling?
Our species is killing our planet.
It's true, isn't it? It's totally true. Terrible, isn't it? I agree with you. I think that's it, isn't it? Time to go. Okay, people, let's finish. So we do delighted, hour and a quarter. Been thinking, analyzing, contemplating, whatever works from all this, take it, 1%, more than it if you want, if you wish. And if you want that documents I'm talking about, come and I'm going to send to Barbara. I don't know. So if you need those documents up, just ask me and I'll send them to you. And that's all really. That's all. Be happy, be delighted, keep moving, never give up, helping ourselves and helping others. Thank you, precious people. Bye.